Okay, hey everyone. Welcome to Metaphysical Mondays. So I'm just going to give everyone a second to jump on. Okay, so while I do that, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to all my followers. I think I've recently hit about 21,000 followers, and I pretty overwhelmed by that figure, to be honest. But it's been a good 4.5 years since I started this page, and so it's been really interesting watching it grow and meeting all of you beautiful people who come on and support me and really appreciate what I do. So it really means a lot to me. It really keeps me going, really keeps me creating and expressing and sharing more of who I am and what I believe. And so these Metaphysical Mondays is something that I wanted to do to give back to all of you, just to say a big thank you for your support, and also to share with you more about what I do in my private sessions with my private clients. Okay. So today, what I want to talk about is metaphysically how we get sick and how our emotions make us really sick, or can make us really sick, or they can actually make us really healthy. Right. So for those of you who did see the advertisement for this, I hope that you have a piece of paper and a pen. If you don't, grab a piece of paper and a pen, because we're going to be doing a little bit of an interactive exercise to help you understand yourself a bit better. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just checking in on my phone on my Facebook page. We've got some subtitles coming up, which is really cool. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen with you. Just give me a second. Here we go. Okay. Oops. Okay. This is the first time I'm doing this, so just be really patient with me. We'll go back to the start. Okay, so as I said, welcome to Metaphysical Mondays. I would love to know where you're tuning in from. I'm always really curious to know where you guys are. So please share with me where you're from, what part of the world you're from. Just pop a little pop where you're from in the comments. I'm in Melbourne, Australia, and it's currently 12 p.m. Monday. It's nice and sunny after a really rainy day yesterday. For those of you who don't know, I have a page, a group called Healing Little You, and a page. If you're not already a member of my group, Healing Little You, I really recommend that you come and check it out. I believe that a lot of our adult issues stem from our childhood wounds, and they can be healed and understood better, and we can learn how to live with our deep wounds when we understand our inner child better and where those wounds came from. So inside of this group, there are over 30 units of educational material, meditations, topics about triggers and emotions and the inner child that you can go in and start working your way through if you want to heal your inner child. Okay, so if you're interested in that, if you feel the pull to join, please jump in and check it out. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Anthea Spark. It is a pleasure to meet you if I'm meeting you for the first time. I'm a soul-centered psychotherapist. So I studied 4 years at a private school here in Melbourne. It was run by these two psychotherapists who, you know, they were psychotherapists for years, and they'd studied in America, and they had a really deep knowledge and understanding of the philosophies of Carl Jung, and they wanted to put their spin on psychotherapy. And so what they did is they created this school called the Kairos Center, and it was incredible because it was a really small school, and it they were passionate about what they did, and that's what they taught us. And a big part of that was for us to go through our own healing journey, which meant we had to do the inner work. We had to do that work on ourselves. And it was intense. Pardon me, it was so intense that when I finished those 4 years, I was like, I need a break. That is just too much. We learned about shadow work. We learned about dreams and chakras and energy and all of our spiritual gifts, right? So it was a really amazing process. So I'm also a kinesiologist. I studied only 1 year of kinesiology. I didn't do the full 2 years, but I use a lot of the stuff that I learned in that first year in my work. I've done things like Reiki and Egyptian Reiki and all different types of Reiki. I am an intuitive card reader and workshop facilitator. So I'm really passionate about all that stuff. I'm also the proud mummy of Olivia and Sophie. So these little girls are, they're little mini versions of me. And when I had them, I was quite asleep. And I thought I was just getting two cute little babies. But instead what I got were these little mirrors, right? And these little mirrors reflected back to me my heart and the way I loved and that pureness. But they also reflect back to me my own unhealed childhood wounds and my own unhealed adult wounds as well, and the areas of my life that I need to develop and strengthen. And so they're really very big teachers for me, and I use the interactions I have with them every day to learn even more about myself. So back in 2015, when I gave birth to my second daughter, Sophie, I woke up in the middle of the night to feed Sophie, and I realized that the whole left side of my face had completely collapsed, and I didn't understand what had happened to me. I actually thought that I'd had a stroke, and so I called the head midwife to come in, and she came in and she looked at me and she's like, I think I need to go call your doctor. She goes, don't Google it, but I think you may have Bell's palsy. And so as soon as she left, of course, I Googled Bell's palsy because I had no idea what the hell it was. I'd never heard of anyone going in to have a baby and coming out with a paralyzed face. And when I read the information about Bell's palsy, what I found was that some people recovered within weeks. Other people, it took months, and some people didn't recover at all. And so in that moment, there was a lot of fear that crept in. And I was like, you're right, Anthea, you'll be fine. You'll be one of those people who recovers within a couple of weeks. And so when the midwife came back and she gave me the news that it was Bell's palsy, I was mortified. And I started to wonder how the hell I got here. How did I end up with this physical condition? Now, when I was 15, I remember reading the book by Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. And all of a sudden, all of those memories and the information from that book started to come flashing back in. And I remember reading about, in the back of her book, about certain conditions and how they were linked to certain emotions and certain traumas and certain thoughts and beliefs. And so I knew that that was something I was going to have to investigate. But first, I was on my way to having an MRI to rule out brain tumours. That was what my doctor and physician suggested that I do. And I also had to see a whole bunch of other practitioners to see if they could help me. So when I found out that I had to have an MRI to rule out brain tumours, I started thinking about death. And I started to think about who was going to take care of my children if I died, because I'm sure there are people who have survived brain cancer, but I sure didn't know any of them. And I didn't actually know how I was going to deal with this. So I went and had my MRI, which was a confronting experience. But then I also, when I got the all clear that, when I got told that I didn't have any brain tumours, I knew that this condition was a blessing, and it had come in to teach me a very important lesson, one about the way that I had been living my life, and one that I needed to learn, a lesson I needed to learn very quickly. So where I went and saw the physical practitioners, I also started to do my own research about the emotional reason why people get Bell's palsy, or why they could get Bell's palsy. Because, and I know that this topic isn't, not everyone's going to agree with this topic, but this is what I personally believe in how we can make ourselves sick or we can make ourselves better. So how the hell did I get here? I thought, you know, I started to really look at how I had made myself sick from an emotional level. Like, how was my emotional body, you know, what was happening there? So I would suppress my emotions, and that's something that I did my whole life. And that probably came from some form of childhood conditioning, you know, by family or society. And look, the reality is that we are not taught, unless we have very empowered parents as adults, we're not actually, or teachers, we're not actually taught how to express our emotions in a powerful way. Yeah. Now, most of us would have grown up being told to stop crying, which is essentially what you're saying to a child is stop feeling. Whether you say it in a polite way or an angry way, you're still essentially telling your child to stop feeling what they're feeling. So I would get triggered by everything. Drivers, people being rude to me at the supermarket, all sorts of things. I would get triggered. Like, I was a really highly triggered person, right? I would also get triggered by everyone. I allowed people to take advantage of me all the time, and I'd come back for more. I was a big people pleaser. Yeah, because I didn't want people to leave my life. I wanted people to stay. I wanted people to want me in their lives. I didn't ask for what I wanted. And let's just go back to the people pleaser for a second, because it links heavily to the stop crying. So let's say you were out in public with your mum or dad, and you had a tantrum, or you started crying, or you got angry or something. There's a good chance that one of your parents would have said, stop it. We don't do that here, or don't behave like that, or something like that, right? So what that does is to a child is it actually shows them that other people are more important than what they are, other people are more important about what that child is feeling in that moment. Okay, so that essentially does make us people pleasers when we're adults. Yeah, I didn't ask for what I wanted. I didn't know how to ask for what I wanted. I was angry at myself, my husband, my mom. I was angry at a lot of people. I was really defensive, and the defensiveness was a protective mechanism. You know, it stopped me from getting hurt more, stopped me from really being able to express who I was. I was a massive overthinker. Sometimes I still am, but I've learned how to control that more, and how to drop into my heart more, and how to shut down those programs that were created within me to make me a massive overthinker. I was judgmental of myself and others, and I was a massive victim, right? I was constantly in victim mentality. Whenever something happened, I would be like, why is this happening to me? Why did that person treat me like that? Right? And my heart was closed completely. It was completely closed off. These awarenesses were brutal. They were really, really brutal for me. And it wasn't until I really started owning these that I realized that all of this stuff had to change. Otherwise, I was never going to heal, and I was never going to get better. Come and get one. So what I did was I started to heal myself, and I started to realize that these were the things that I needed to change. Yeah. So I started to heal my mindset. I started to change my mindset. I started to take responsibility for my life, my actions, how I contributed to the breakdown of my own relationships, the breakdown of the things in my life that are important to me. I really had to shift my perspective. And one of the things that I did to shift my perspective was I started to work with an amazing acupuncturist. He was quite young at the time, and he was just starting his business. And when I'd reached out to him, he was like, yeah, okay, I can help you, but Anthea, the needles aren't going to do the majority of the work. Shifting your perspective is going to do the majority of the work. And I would go to his house every Saturday. He'd spend 3 hours with me every Saturday, and he would explain to me how warped my perspective was on life, how I was seeing life through the filters of my own wounds. And how I wasn't taking responsibility for my life and my actions, right? So he really smashed my mindset open, and he really helped me to begin to see different perspectives of things. Now, what was really interesting about my healing journey was that when I was healing so I was paralyzed for 3 months in total before I saw any signs of recovery. Okay. Now, in that time, I was like, yep, you're going to beat this. And I was like, I'm not going to stop until I find a way to overcome this condition. Right. But fear would creep in. And I was mortified because I was like, shit, what if I don't ever get to smile in a photo with my kids again? What if they never get to see me look happy again? Because I didn't look happy. There was no way I could look happy with a half paralyzed face, right? It was virtually what we felt virtually impossible. So as I started healing, and it was a very slow process because your nerves take a really long time to heal. As I started healing, when I would come up with an emotional block, because everything had to come up and out of me. I had to express and release years of suppressed emotions, right? Like I was emptying out a big box of old junk. When I would come up to an emotional block, my healing would pause. Yeah, it would pause dramatically. There would be no improvement. And that was my body telling me, hey, you got to shift directions here. And so that's what I would do. I'd shift directions and I'd figure out what that block was. And once I'd release it, the healing would start up again. So I was like, this is profound, right? This is a really amazing awareness that I'm having here. And I was like, the happier I'm getting, the more positive I'm getting, the quicker I'm healing. And that is what I was experiencing. The more emotions I released, I started to look different physically, my appearance, not just the face was healing, but I started to look lighter and brighter and even younger. Yeah, the lines on my face started to go. And people would say to me, gee, every time I see you, you look younger. And I'm like, it's because I'm releasing suppressed emotions. These emotions make us look old and haggard and angry and defensive, and they give us wrinkles. And so for me, this is what I experienced. Okay. I also started to heal my inner child, which I had no idea about. I didn't even know that I had to heal my inner child. Yeah. It was something I accidentally fell into with one of my clients. One day I was sitting on my daughter's bed because she was in my bed, and I was having a Zoom session with this young, beautiful young man that I just started working with. It was his first session. And I really connect with the angelic realm, and I believe this was them guiding me during that whole session. And they guided me to take him through a guided meditation. And I know there's other people who do these guided meditations, but I'd never experienced one before, and I'd never seen anyone do anything like that. I didn't even know about inner child healing at that stage. So that's how I know I was profoundly guided to do it. And when I took him through this process, he had such a profound emotional release and such a profound experience where he could really see his inner child and connect to him, that it just unlocked him in such a way that he felt free to become more of his adult self, right? Now, don't get me wrong. One session doesn't just help like solve all your problems, but it can unlock you in a way that you can propel forward and begin doing things that have held you back before. And sure, there's always more work to do, but one shift in perspective can be enough to open up a new chapter in your life. Okay. And the inner child stuff is really, really profound. So as I went through this myself, I was like, this is how I'm going to help people. Yeah, before I started working with that young man, I was like, this is how I'm going to help people. I'm going to help people understand that if they're more positive and they shift their perspective and they heal their childhood wounds, that they are going to be able to feel happier in their own skin. And I was like, I really need to teach people that their mindset either makes them sick or it makes them healthy, right? And so that's what I did. And that's why I do what I do today. So just to give you a little bit more information, when I was 15, I was going through a really dark time, like most teenagers do, right? Confused about who you are, what you want, what you're doing here, all of the above. And I remember receiving one of those catalogs that was like to join a book subscription where you can order like 3 books or something, and they're like $3 each, and then you buy a book every week or every month, whatever, I can't remember. And I'd seen these golden angel cards, and so that's what I did. I joined that I joined that book subscription, and I bought some golden angel cards, Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life, and I think Wayne Dyer's book, I can't remember what it was called. And so I bought all those 3, and I would sit in my room and I would play with my angel cards, and I would feel a sense of comfort and peace and tranquility, knowing that the angels were there with me, right? And then after that, me and my cousin, we would do all of these different spiritual programs together. We'd do meditation, past life regression. We went and saw Doreen Virtue live and did her angelic realm and mediumship program, and Stephen Farmer was there and Leon Narkson, and it was amazing, right? And so I just kept on doing more and more because it was delicious. I loved it. It was profound. It was teaching me so much about who we are, you know, how we're these light beings in these physical bodies, and I didn't want to stop. And so when I got sick, I knew that it was time that I started putting everything I had learned into practice, and it was time for me to really start helping people. So now I want to talk to you about suppressed anger, okay? And this is where I want you to get your bits of paper out. Now, anger is one of the most toxic emotions you can carry around in your physical body. Anger is like poison to the body. It's literally like you're drinking a glass of gasoline, okay? When you carry that around with you, right? So think about for a second. I just need to get a tissue, guys, one sec. Think about for a second what anger, when you get angry, what happens? When you get angry, you go, ooh, right? You tense up. Now, if you don't find a way to release that anger or express it, you essentially, your body's tensed up like this, okay? And how long do you think your body can withstand that for, right? Like you might do something to release it a little bit, but the more anger you push down, the more tense you get, and that can create other problems for you. So these are some of the things that anger does to your body, okay? It shocks the nervous system. Now, if you already have an autoimmune disease or you're dealing with health issues and you continue to suppress your emotions, you continue to suppress your anger, that is going to make your condition more active, okay? So you can have your conditions where they're active and inactive. Okay. And some days you might wake up and you're like, I feel great today. Like I don't even feel like I have this condition. And then other days it can feel like it can really drag you down, right? Like if you have chronic fatigue, on the days where your chronic fatigue is really active, you would feel like you need to stay in bed all day. Okay. And so often our conditions become more active and heightened after a traumatic emotional experience, or after us getting triggered to the point where we get so angry that we want to break something, okay? It weakens the immune system as well. Now, we all know what happens when your immune system is weak. You get really sick, like that. Now, when I went in to have my daughter Sophie, I was sick, and I got sick after having a process done while I was pregnant, which I didn't really want to do. My intuition was saying, no, Anthea, don't do it. But my doctor was recommending that I did. So I went against my own intuition and I did that procedure. And then I was sick. My immune system was already weak when I went in to give birth to Sophie. And so this is how my physical body, what kind of state my physical body was in. I already told you what emotional state my body was in. So now my physical body was also compromised. Okay, my immune system was weak. I had a cesarean. I was tired. My emotions were all over the shop. So no wonder I ended up in the position I was in. Okay, anger also creates inflammation. Yeah, puffiness. inflammation in your bowels, inflammation in your throat, everywhere, right? You're going to think of this red, this anger, this red running through you, okay? It causes red rashes, psoriasis, eczema, and flare-ups. So if you have suppressed anger, and I'm not just saying that it's just the anger that's causing all of this. Often it's a combination. You know, we have an emotional body, a physical body, an etheric body, a spiritual body, right? There's a lot of bodies that we have. It's a combination. But often it starts first on an emotional level, okay? So if you have any of these conditions, yes, you can begin to make the condition better when you work through your emotions. But once you have a condition, right, that's going to be your weakness. Yeah. So if you have a thyroid issue, sure, you can get it to a point where your thyroid's working again in a really, really powerful way, but you're going to have to be really careful, because once the body becomes weak like that, right, it's really hard to get it back to 100%. Yeah, especially these autoimmune conditions that some of us get, like Bell's palsy. Yeah, so my face isn't 100% healed. And I did have a lot of weakness in my muscles. I have weakness in my muscles from being paralyzed for 3 months. I ended up with fibrosis. Things started to fuse together under the skin, because that's what happens when you don't have proper fluid running through and everything moving. And so on days where I'm really tired and I haven't got a lot of sleep, you can really see it, my face droops. And so this is something I'm going to have to deal with for the rest of my life. But I'm really grateful that I've recovered this much, but this is my weak point now, okay? So anger also tenses up your bowels and the rest of your body, like I said earlier. So, you know, if you do suffer from constipation, what are you holding on to? What are you still angry about? Who are you still angry at? Right? Just things to think about. It can cause pain in the jaw, shoulders, and neck. Yeah. So sometimes if you get triggered, you get tense in here. Your neck can tense up. Remember, like this. Shoulders too. Yeah. So is that making sense to everyone? I'm just going to see if there's any comments here. It's in here. No. Your neck can tense up. I'm not doing too good at this technology stuff, am I? Okay, moving on. So, do you ever get triggered? Yes, I want to talk to you about being triggered and why we react, because this is really important. Because if you are someone who is easy to anger, then that tells us that you have some inner work to do. You have some clearing to do if you want to change that. Yeah, if you're ready to let go of your anger and release it, and people trigger you or situations trigger you, anyone or anything that triggers you is your teacher. Yeah, it's here to teach you something. So I'm just going to check the comments. So we've got Jenny. Hey, Jenny. Hey, Trisha. Beautiful. And I can't see who else is on, but if you're on, thank you for being on and for watching. Okay, so often when we get triggered, it's a younger part of us that is reacting, right? So do you ever get triggered and then you react and you feel like you can't control yourself, and then you calm down, and when you calm down, you're like, wow, I didn't handle that well. Yeah? That's a younger part of you that's become activated within you. And what that younger part does is it comes in and it's like, right, I'm going to unleash 20 years of anger, 5 years of anger, 1 year of anger, whatever it is, on this person or this situation or on myself. And so that's what happens, right? And so when we have younger parts of us that are unresolved, younger parts of us that feel wounded, that feel hurt, let's say you got a divorce, let's say your husband had an affair, right, cheated on you, and that, 45-year-old you or 35-year-old you or whatever it is still hurt. Yeah. If you meet someone that speaks to you in the same tone as your husband did, or is dishonest to you in the same way that your husband was, or something like that, and you get triggered, that wounded younger part of you is going to step in and go, right, let's unleash. Yeah, because they're haunting you. That's how you've got to see it. You've got to see it as if they're haunting you, waiting for an opportunity to unleash. Because essentially, what you imagine a giant house, and behind every room in that house is a younger version of you that has unresolved issues. They're just waiting to kick down that door open and come out and unleash. Okay, so it's really important to understand, why am I getting so angry? What's this about? So here's the interactive part. So I want you to just write down, is there anyone or anything you're angry at right now? You know, like from everything that I've discussed, everything that you've watched me talk about, is there anyone that comes to mind that you're like, I'm angry at? Yeah? Was there anyone popping into your head as I was doing this presentation? Because if there is, and if there is anyone in the present moment, like in the last week or 2 weeks or 2 months or year, whatever, that you're angry at, let's unpack that a little bit. Let's go deeper into it and see what it's actually about. Because what we do, we're conditioned to go, can you believe Susan? Can you believe how she spoke to me in the office today? How dare she? How does she think I am? And then we get caught up with the current situation with Susan, right? And it's actually really got nothing to do with Susan. Susan's just come in to trigger us, to show us that we've got unresolved issues to work on within ourselves, because that's the energy we're carrying. And so when we carry that energy, people come into our reality to show us that. They'll reflect things back to us. And when you do the inner work and you understand yourself on a deeper level, you can recognize that like that. But if you have all of these suppressed emotions and that you're up to here, you're just going to react. Yeah? You're going to be up here. You're going to be like on this superficial level reacting. Okay? This is why it's important to go deep within yourself. But you can't go deep within yourself if you're full of suppressed emotions. Okay? So now I want you to think to yourself for a minute. Are you angry at yourself? For anything at all? Is there anything at all that you are angry about? Right? Sometimes we miss the fact that, you know, we're angry at ourselves because we're just sitting here blaming and judging Susan for her actions. But really, if we turned that around and we looked at ourselves, we might be like, you know what? I overgave to Susan and she didn't appreciate it. And I kept overgiving and overgiving and overgiving, expecting that I was going to get something back. But Susan can't meet me here. She can't give back to me. She can't meet me where I want to be met. So who am I actually angry at? I can't change her, right? That doesn't necessarily make Susan a bad person because she can't meet me where I am at. So I should have picked up on that. My intuition was telling me not to overgive, but I kept on overgiving, right? So this is how you got to question yourself. So I should have stopped overgiving to Susan and just given her as much as I could have without expecting anything in return. Okay? So is that making sense to everyone? So now I want you to write down if there's anyone from your past that you're angry at. Is there anyone, mother, father, husband, girlfriend, child, anyone that you still hold that anger towards? Even yourself. If there is, now's a good time to write all that down. So I'll give you a second to do that. And just write their names down. And this is something you can do further in your own time. Is sit down and write down all of the things that you're angry at them about, why you're angry at them, how it made you feel. Now, handwriting, not typing, handwriting is a really powerful way to remove energy from your body. It's a powerful way to remove emotions from your body. Because once you start writing, and I have a lot of my clients tell me this, they're like, oh my God, once I started writing, all this stuff started to come out that I didn't even know was there. And they're like, wow, I didn't even realize I was still carrying that, right? Because we forget, but the body remembers. That's the difference. We forget up here how much we suppress and we carry, but the body doesn't forget. The body's like, oh, I'm really tired, Anthea. Empty some of this stuff out. Otherwise, you're going to cop a sore shoulder or a sore knee or this or that, right? And now I want you to write down if there's anything else from your past that you were still angry at or angry about. You're angry at the situation from your childhood? Are you angry at how your marriage ended? Are you angry at how your friendship ended? Whatever it is. Yeah. So some of the things that can be a really hard pill to swallow is that when you release your anger, when you start releasing your suppressed emotions, you will have to take even more responsibility for how you contributed, allowed people to manipulate you, or how you contributed to the breakdown of your friendships or marriage, whatever it is. And that can be really confronting. Yeah, I know it was for me. It was really confronting for me. But what I did was I just reminded myself that back then I didn't have the information that I have now. And I just did what I knew to do. And even if I was angry and I created pain in my marriage towards my husband, I had to own that. And I had to be like, okay, wow, that's really, I didn't like it. I'm like, wow, that's really ugly behavior. But I guess I can't change it now. I can make peace with it. You know, and there was a lot of times where I would call my ex-husband up and I'd apologize to him for things that happened 10 years ago. And he'd be like, what do you want me to say? And I'm like, I don't want you to say anything. I'm just trying to make peace with myself. Yeah. And I'm not suggesting you call people up and apologize to them, but you can if that's going to make you feel better. That's definitely something I've done. I messaged a friend from 15 years ago and said, I'm really sorry for how I behaved back then. And they're like, Anth, it's 15 years ago. Forget it. It's the past. So you make peace with it in whatever way you wish to. But what you have to do is you have to get those emotions out. And the more you do, the easier you'll drop into your heart. That's a whole other webinar, dropping into your heart. So we'll talk about that another time. But when you do drop into your heart, it's the vulnerability that comes with that, again, can be overwhelming. But that's where your power is. It's in your heart. That's where your freedom is. That's where I feel strongest, in my heart. Yeah. So what I want you to do now is just really look at what you've written down there and assess, does my past tie in with my present? Have all the questions you've just answered here, is there a link to them? Are they linking together? And if they are, just drop me a little comment in the chat box and let me know how you've found this exercise. Are they tying in together? Is there similarities with the way Susan behaved and the way your mother behaved when you were a child, or the way your ex-husband or wife behaved? All right? Really important to look at how things tie in together, because let's say that's something you want to change and you want to go seek help, whether it's with me or with someone else privately, right? And you're like, you know what, I think I want to work on this, I want to change it. Then you've got this really solid information that you can take. And you're like, this is what I realized. Oh my God, history's been repeating itself for the last 40 years. How the hell am I going to change this? I don't want to carry that energy anymore. I don't want to be stuck in this loop of pain over and over and over again. I want to change it, right? It's really important to investigate. Okay, so I hope that you found this webinar valuable. If you would like to book in a private session with me to discuss what you've found here, or to work on something else that's come up, you can contact me in Messenger. You can send me a message, or you can send me an email at antheaspark.gmail.com. You can jump into the Healing Little You group and check it out. You can also follow me on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. And if you have any questions about what I shared here today, or if you'd like to know any more about how I helped myself heal, please message me, and please let me know if you found this Metaphysical Monday helpful, and if you learned something. And I will run this again. If people enjoy it and they're getting value from it, I'll run it again every Monday. So I will run it again next Monday. So come back next Monday. There'll be different topics. There'll be a different topic every week. Thank you to everyone who's been watching. All I can see is that Trisha, Jenny, Pearl, and Jenny have been on. So thank you so much. And thank you for everyone else that I can't see. Sending you lots of love, and I'll speak to you again real soon. Bye, everyone.